Do you want the thinnest laptop you've ever seen in your entire life that can also run an entire AI agent library for you? If your answer is no, you're clearly listening to the wrong podcast. If your answer is yes, then you got to check out this episode of the HiTech Podcast. Okay, what is up, folks? It is that time. It's that day. Which is whatever day you listen to the HiTech Podcast. I am Josh, one of the hosts of the HiTech Podcast, and that other slightly more beautiful voice was my co-host, Will Illingworth. I was gonna say slightly
What's
less
up,
beautiful,
YouTube?
to be a little bit sarcastic, but I decided to be nicer today.
Aww.
So
we've
yeah.
had enough from the rest of the world. We'll be nice to each other.
Yeah, it's been enough of a day. I don't need. We can be nice to each other. Yeah, for this week. But anyway, welcome everybody. We got a fun episode for you. We're doing another fun HiTech Podcast episode where we react to some news and give our thoughts and give you some updates. I know it's going to surprise you that it's on the AI world, but you know, as we keep joking,
I thought that was over, right? Like it didn't. Are we done?
Oh,
with
AI? They just shut it down.
Yeah.
What a move that would be. You know what I mean? Like
Just
that
light switch. Just
that would be so contrary to human nature. We created a thing. We don't know that it's great. Somebody talked about murder robots once. Maybe we should shut it down.
okay. Pull the switch.
Instead, it writes all my emails. No, we're gonna keep talking about AI this week. But before we do, just a quick reminder: the HiTech Podcast is on the internet. If you didn't already know that, I'm actually not sure how you're listening to us right now. That's impressive.
Are people
I
downloading and pirating our podcast? Like honestly,
I don't know that.
honored.
I mean, I would be honored.
So.
I'm trying to think. Have I ever been online? You know what? Skyhawk Drive was we did realize
On
one day it was being illegally downloaded on
LimeWire.
LimeWire once. Yeah,
Of course.
It was the whole thing. It was
How do you
officially an
think you got
achievement.
so
Achievement.
popular in the Philippines or whatever, you know? Like, yeah, you were on a radio because people were
That was
sharing
very
around your stuff for
judgmental. The
free.
Philippines, the Filipino people definitely could have just downloaded us legally. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
This is okay. Anyway, but for the HiTech Podcast, you can do whatever you want because I don't care. But
Please,
make sure to
we don't
listen
care.
to us. We're on the internet. Make sure to subscribe, like the bell. You can find us on all socials at HiTech Podcast or at HiTech Pod. Make sure to check us out on YouTube and Spotify specifically. If you listen to one of those areas, subscribe in those areas. It helps us out. It lets us know that people are out there. You know, for all Will and I know, we could be the only two left on the internet. We don't.
Is this a simulation?
Know.
Is it just
Yeah,
us?
I don't know, it's a thing. Anyway, I had HiTech Podcast, I had HiTech Pod. You can find us on any of those. If you want to reach out to us, you can be on the podcast. You have thoughts that you want to let us know. You're like, man, Will's hair has gotten cooler. We all agree. And if you want to let us know, you can email us at inbox@hitechpod.us, and then make sure you check out our website, hitechpod.us. Okay, enough of that spiel. We're back to the content. If you skipped ahead because you listen to the episodes all the time, welcome back. We are here. I don't actually know that happens, but I do that to podcasts I listen to. I gotta be honest. Anyway, this week we want to talk about something Nvidia is doing that we think impacts the AI world, and specifically kind of our audience of more of kind of the daily users of AI, I guess. The tech enthusiast, if you will, but not so tech enthusiast that you know what all of the terminology we're going to reference in this episode is. So
That's fair.
That's our.
I'd like to think that there's even within the AI folks. So we're just going to put the AI using folks in like a generally more techie end of the spectrum than like non-techie folks. But even within AI techie folks, then there's the spectrum of like, oh, it writes all of my emails, or it helps me, autocorrect. And then there's the people like hey, but you do that right? I'm saying there's the people that's all they use it for, or they ask it for recipes. They ask it for like what that weird thing is on their toe. Like people using AI, bro, somebody's doing it.
I know.
Somebody's doing it.
Continue your thought, but then I have a funny story that ties to this before we actually get into the content.
So in the AI world, there's the spectrum of folks who are barely using it with what its purposes, and then there's people like vibe coding, building businesses off of it, using agentic stuff. It's we've got like generally AI folks are techier, but then within AI folks, there's still like the less techie folks and the more techie folks. So
that's fair. Yep.
That's what I was setting that up for, because I think that this episode may be more for the more techie AI.
This is
folks.
definitely the more techie AI folks, but this will probably impact basically everybody, which is why I think it's worth talking about. No, I'm going to make this plug right now. You should become a member of the HiTech Club. There's a QR code that sometimes shows up. And I'm going to make Will's job super hard and just
No, it's above. Well, it's not going to be on screen while you're talking. It's on the top left hand side.
Why don't you hear from past us, speaking of going back in the past, about the HiTech Club and how to join so that you can find out all the extended content we did in this episode.
Hey, Will. Hey, Josh. Do you wish this episode was longer? Like there was more time to spend with us?
Be a lot less editing.
That would be super cool, right? Yeah. So like if you're listening or watching and you feel that way too, you should become a HiTech Club member because you get extended episodes. There's lots of other stuff that Will and I talked about. You know, Will and I say dumb stuff all the time. And if you want to hear it on the podcast live, check that out.
You might even hear Will say things he's not supposed to say, which I've edited out never before.
For sure. If you want to hear the unedited version of Josh and Will, become a HiTech Club member. You check that out. You get extended cuts. You get access to vote on future topics. You'll get discount options on merchandise that's coming and a few other cool things. So go check that out. Links in the bottom description of the episode or someplace on our website, hitechpod.us. Make sure to go check that out and subscribe.
Please and
become a club member.
Okay, now that you've heard from past us, which by the way, we were looking good. It was a good vibe.
It's a good day.
Yeah, we were in person. It was
nice
great.
Couch.
Yeah, it's right over there. Did I have pillows yet? I forget if we had pillows.
No,
now.
no pillows. It was really uncomfortable.
Yeah. We now have extra pillows. It's a whole thing. So yes. Okay. So you got our advertisement. You had all that fun. Let's talk about our thing right now. Right. So in my opener, I talked about how we want like thin laptop that can run crazy AI on it. Okay. That's obviously not something that we currently have, even though our laptops, by the way, are so much thinner now than the old ones. I don't know if you remember the Lenovo one I had in college that was like a brick. Like if I got that now as a laptop, I'd be offended.
That was
I'd be
a
like,
gaming
this is a desktop.
PC, right? Like it was like
it was
design.
Lenovo's like low-end gaming
thing,
which is funny now thinking about that computer in comparison to what I have.
Your Steam Deck.
Like I think that computer costs. I think that computer cost as much as my GPU and my current computer.
Right.
Anyway. Speaking of GPUs, this is a great segue, right? So if you don't know who Nvidia is, if you're a gamer, you'll probably know who Nvidia is, and you'll probably have mixed feelings about them, because they've been kind of abandoning us for the AI game.
Yeah.
But Nvidia, now a lot of people know their name because they are one of the main providers of GPUs for AI, right? So if you don't know what I mean by GPU, it's basically what visualizes things on your screen. Like your GPU is the device in your computer that runs the visuals, right? So like why gamers know a lot about it is Nvidia makes very enhanced GPUs that are used for gaming, and you need all those big ones. Like I have a nice huge one over here.
They give us beautiful video games. That's why we love them. That's why we know.
Yes. But their names become very public because they are big drivers in the AI space.
The hardware they're making is like
the hardware they're making, some of the advancements that they're doing too. They're just in general in the AI space, right? So Nvidia recently unveiled this new CPU chip called the RTX Spark, right? And so this is where we're gonna get a little technical. Bear with me, people, for a hot second, because it's worth getting technical for a second, because this will impact basically your entire future of AI, I believe. Okay, so they released this new chip, the RTX Spark, and it's basically what's called an ARM-based super chip. And so I just said a lot of things that make no sense to basically 90% of the people that listen to our podcast.
My ARM gets a chip in it that makes me a superhuman.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. I know I'm not insulting your people's intelligence. I just know this probably doesn't make sense because it barely makes sense to Will and I. Okay, and we're the ones in this convo who tend to be the more tech.
That's why we offer this to you.
We're offering it to you. I think this is a safe assumption. Okay, if you're listening to this, you know what all this stuff is already. Be on the podcast. Okay, but for right now, this is Will and I describing to you what this is. Okay, so without getting into all the detail, Will, we looked up what ARM actually stands for. What did it stand for? It stood for
Oh, sweet Christmas. I was just looking at it a second ago. Yeah, well, I got to scroll down in the notes and find it. It was just something like
Advanced RISC Machine. Okay. And what makes ARM chips specifically enhanced is specifically that RISC part of it, RISC, okay? Putting it in layman's terms, basically the chip functions in an enhanced way that puts off a lot less heat, uses up a lot less power, and so for this reason, these types of ARM-based chips are in basically all of the mobile devices that you use.
Right.
Okay? Because they take up less space, they use less heat. They're not like, if you know who Intel is, one of the big providers of your main computing chips and your computers, those chips are much larger. Like if you've ever seen one, like I have one on my computer over here, though not from Intel, but I have one on my computer over here. Like it's almost as big as my phone. Like it's not, you can't fit that into mobile devices.
And to very briefly set this stage, like if I shut this room's door, I turn the fan off, I have no AC, my physical computer with its fans creates enough heat to warm the room, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's not like on a cold day, but if it's a moderate day, my room gets warm because my computer with its fans, with all the energy it's creating and using makes heat. That can't be. You can't have a phone that does that, right? No one would walk around with a microwave in their phone. It would overheat. It would be too hot. It wouldn't
work.
So that's where we needed this.
Wouldn't work.
We needed this technology. The technology needed to get smaller to do the phones, but needed to get more resource friendly, so that doesn't do that. And the RISC thing, RISC stands for Reduced Instruction Set Computing. So they've made it. It's just the point of making it much more efficient and much
more efficient in the way it processes things, right? So like your CPU in your computer is your main processor. It's what does a lot of the heavy lifting. It's why, like, if you've ever opened up like a task manager on a computer and you see the CPU, it's using up your memory that kind of has the controlling and processes everything, but your CPU is doing all kind of the work. It's what controls multitasking in a computer. It's how you're able to do a lot of different things at once, right? And so like more advanced computers that need to be able to do a lot more, they have more powerful CPUs. Those CPUs push off a lot more heat. Hence the reason his computer can microwave his room. Hence the reason my computer has 9 fans. Okay? So like why this all matters, right? I'm explaining this to all of you and you're like, why does this matter, Josh? Well, the reality is AI that we're using, right? They're complex algorithms that are processing a lot of information, right? And making a lot of different connections, right? And using a lot of different types of instructions. And so to run AI, it requires a lot of CPU and GPU power, right? To be able to do AI. So when you're accessing GPT, this is why there's a lot of conversations about data centers, because they need these data centers to contain all of these GPUs, all of these CPU power, run, this is why, if you know what RAM is, it's why we can't buy any right now, is because they need all of these different components and tools to create little computers that can run, that work together to run the AI, right? For those of you who are experts in this area listening to the podcast, I realize that was an overly simplistic version of what actually happens. Deal with it. So that's essentially what's happening in those. Don't do that. That seems, first of all, like extreme. And second of all, like, I work for a college, so okay.
Don't sue me.
Anyway, so that's what's going on, right? In those data centers, you got all this power. Why this matters, right? Is because traditionally, this is why all the AI tools we're using, you have to access them through a web-based tool like GPT or Claude or somebody else, right? Because your computer really doesn't have enough power to run its own AI model on the computer, right? It needs access to another AI model to run that, right? Now, people create AI models in their own computers, but those computers are ridiculous. And surprise, you're not carrying it to work, okay? Like it's not easy, right?
The irony of computer development is, like, my father would talk about working on computers in the 60s and 70s, like as they're being made practically. And he's like, oh yeah, a computer used to take up a whole room. I'm like, that's funny, Dad. Look, this computer's on my desk. And now we're back to that. It's like, oh no, my computers take up the whole room.
Son, my computer used to take up half my desk. It'll be like, Dad, it's in my brain now. Yeah, I don't like that. Anyway, so why is this all coming back to this chip that Nvidia is making, right? So this chip is an ARM-based chip. So it's more enhanced, it's more powerful, but it is incredibly small. And it's not necessarily doubling, but it's pushing a way more power into your computer. And so what this is enabling computers to do is they're showing that they can produce these incredibly efficient computers that they're advertising supposedly will, I forgot to add this in here, have battery power for an entire day.
Oh, yeah.
Like can be unplugged for an entire day.
Yeah. Because they would be pulling that much less resource. That's the point.
Yes,
of it,
they'd be
right?
pulling that much less resource.
Yeah.
But because they're more efficient, because they're pulling less resources, it would also empower users to set up device-based AI, agentic AI on their computers, right? So what this would mean is that you wouldn't have to download Claude Cowork onto your computer or put another agentic AI tool on your computer, right? You could set up your own agents that run solely on your device. So you're not communicating data to these bigger entities. And you could set up these individual agentic tools on your actual computer so that your computer is running them, essentially. Now, they talk about how the software that would be used to do this would also be able to go out to cloud-based tools when you need to, right? Because obviously, internet searching some of those tools, they're going to need to go somewhere else to get access to other things. But what this efficiency is allowing them to do is essentially, and this is the part that Will and I still don't have all the details on, but the basics of what we understand is building a security model in that would basically encrypt the data you're sending to those tools, so they're not getting your data. It's gone as far as I saw. So a little bit of context. Part of the reason we're talking about this is I saw a video from the YouTuber Linus Tech on this. I was watching this and it clicked for me how this might change the way we use AI. If you want to see more details from somebody who is far more qualified to talk about the back end of this, we're going to post his video to our episode page on our website, hitechpod.us. Go check that out, and then go check out his video, please, because he gives a much more detailed walkthrough of the actual hardware. But what this encryption would do, they've gotten tools like even OpenClaw, which has now become a very popular tool for agentic AI, to even get on board with this level of encryption.
Yeah.
So what this means is that if this goes the way it might, is that we could see a fairly, I think, Will, I'm curious your take on this. I think we could see a fairly large shakeup to how we interact with AI. Where it's moving from, we're using the big name players like OpenAI and Claude. They'd still be on the back end a bit, but it would move to individuals or organizations being able, much more empowered to set up agentic AI on their own devices. And before you jump in, Will, real quick note, this is also being partnered with Windows. Has already announced before all of this that they're working on tools. I think some people have access to them already. Tools in Windows that you can actually use to create your own agents inside a computer. Yeah. Right. So this is kind of being partnered with that in some ways.
The critical part of this, and why what Josh has set up for us here is so important on access at a local level is kind of that parallel to what computers used to be, right? Computers used to be huge. Computers used to be expensive. The personal computer, the PC, is a term because we were able to finally make them small enough and usable enough for everyday folk. This is that revolution for AI. We're going to have PC AI, personal computing, artificial intelligence. And I think that the idea of we could do it and have it in our own homes and our own devices kind of changes the game on it, because right now one of the things that's happening is we've gained so much capacity functionally by being able to use AI. It does so much for us. It offers us abilities, competencies we didn't have access to before, but we are still subject to the third party. I either have to pay for the upgrades to be able to use them better, use them more, whatever, or I've got to submit myself to the free version where they're using anything I submit for their training, and I can be limited, I can be rate limited, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The idea that I would have enough technology in my home to run this locally opens up this door for PC AI. And I think that it's a very good thing, because so many of the issues around AI are because the third parties are controlling it and they're dumping money into it. If we could do it locally, it doesn't eliminate the need for data centers. Absolutely not. Data centers have always existed since we've had the modern internet, right? We've talked about this many times before, but Netflix was the first offender to with data centers and things like that before AI ever became an issue with this.
Well,
and
they weren't the first offender. I mean, data centers have to exist because of the internet. I mean,
I'll clarify. Netflix is a tool of entertainment. Everything up to that point was like, how do we make infrastructure so internet can reach each other? We were trying to connect the world. We did that. Do you remember slow loading speeds, right? Like, you remember?
Well, yeah,
how long
I'm just saying Netflix
took.
wasn't the first offender. I mean, YouTube hit before Netflix. I mean, there's a
fair. All right, take the first word.
Servers existed before that. Right?
Yes.
The point you're making
word first
is
doesn't matter.
AI is not the original model.
It's not the original
problem.
sin.
Yeah.
In the digital and data center world. So, like, what we could do, though, is by having local access, reduce capacity, reduce ask on that, and reduce the need for all the data centers. Now, I don't think it's going to stop them, because it's just a money juggernaut. But where we are with this opportunity is, as I've done my de-Googling this year, and I've built my own little servers at home, and we did the Jellyfin episode and stuff like that, you can keep rolling this forwards. I could just make my own AI, and I could have my own stuff in-house, and I could maybe just serve it to my own friends so that we work together on projects. Josh and I could have an AI just for the podcast. It could run everything only on the pod. Now, it's less effective because you maybe want external resources and stuff, but like, the ideas and the possibilities are there for a number of different things. To make the point, though, and drive home the capacity issue here, when I bought a Raspberry Pi, or I was given a Raspberry Pi for Christmas, but when I started using that, I was really cool. I was really encouraged by the idea of, like, small computing, a device that's this big, right? You're not seeing it if you're just listening, but it's the size of a wallet, and it's a full computer. It can do everything. It can do everything you need for a computer. The problem is it only has 1 gigabyte of RAM, and so running a browser is difficult. That's what we're talking about, changing the computing functionality here. Like, we're thinking of, I've got a Raspberry Pi, and that used to be how computers worked, and now I've got the supercomputer in front of me with 68 gigs of RAM or whatever I've got. It doesn't bother. I can have 100 browser tabs working across 6 desktops, and my computer doesn't slow down, right? That's what we're about to do with this functionality. Where AI, if you tried to run it on my personal computer, which can do so much, it just wouldn't. It wouldn't have enough compute power to get there. And this is going to put that option into the home. It's going to give me and Josh are you ready? Are you ready to spend the money on this so we can start to play with these kinds of things? You know what I mean? Like, we're the kinds of guys who are going to
I'm still focused on that. You've been calling this PC AI. I feel like could we, like, this isn't exactly
AI PC?
But like, it doesn't need the C. It just needs to be personal AI, right? So like could it be like
personal, pay,
pay, I guess.
It's got to be pi. AI,
pi,
pop.
PAI?
We are gonna sit here for a way too long.
I don't know. I feel like you can call it a lot of different things. This is working titles. But anyway, yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting right now. I will say there's a lot of unanswered questions still. Nvidia has been fairly silent on what the actual pricing of these tools will look like. We haven't seen the reality of this yet. They're still kind of quiet on exactly what this looks like unplugged versus plugged in. There's a lot of questions, right? Now I will say, if you watch like the Linus Tech video, they will articulate that like Nvidia in general has been fairly good at predicting where the future of computing is going. And so I think we could be seeing another shift in computing in a way that we haven't seen in a little while, that could impact the AI game. I think it'll take a while before every user actually realizes it, but I think we could see that shift of where we're going. So yeah, it's an interesting idea. Interesting how it might impact the way we're all using AI. And I definitely think helps with the privacy side of the AI stuff. I can say, as somebody who's worked on this for an organization, there's always this battle of the efficiency versus the ownership element, right?
Yeah.
And like, it's difficult, right? Because even to like, as somebody who is like on my personal stuff that Will would be less happy with, right? Like, I've installed Claude Cowork. Like, I have it embedded on my computer. Like, it has access to all my files and stuff on my computer. Now isolated to certain folders. Like, you can isolate Claude to certain folders, but like you're still giving away data access to be able to have it do what it does. Now I will say when you do it, like that's not even full agentic, but when you do that, there's a lot of power in what you do. Like I was just sharing with Will, like I was able to create this like crazy presentation report on a whole bunch of stuff, pulling in a whole bunch of data and elements from a bunch of different things I was working on in half the time it would have taken me normally, because I had Claude co-work doing so. I'm literally sitting in a conference session listening to someone talk while Claude is on my computer doing stuff, changing a proposal based on feedback I'm throwing it from the person that was sending me an email. Now I was checking it before it went on to the final steps, but like that's stuff that like I was never able to do before. And so I think like this personal access would be very powerful, and not having to give data. Listen, I'm a fan of, I think I love the quote from the Linus Tech video of not having to give away all your personal data to good old Sam Altman. Like I'm a fan of not having to do that. You know what I mean? This is already a problem that we have on the internet through Google and a whole bunch of other things. It's why you're de-Googling. And that's why, like, at one end of things, I think the de-Googling thing is kind of funny that we're doing it, because you're like doing it right before like the new wave of tool that's going to require more data usage is coming. So like I think there's something really cool about this. I would love to see this go the direction we're talking about, because I think it would help solve some problems that we're really fighting in this space, right?
And so I think we both saw in the video, but also like the technical functionality this offers, besides compute power or compute efficiency, when you pair this with what Microsoft's trying to do, we start to see a level of agentic capacity on our devices that wasn't previously possible without third parties, without the privacy sacrifices, etc. Like one of the examples is an agent running stuff inside of a Photoshop for you, right? Like it'll be able to operate on your local computer and take large tasks to perform large tasks. I was going to take large tasks to task, but that doesn't make sense.
The good old taking large tasks to task, just like my grandfather.
Your tasks there, take them to task.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that like, yeah, we're going to reduce capacity, we're going to democratize access, increase privacy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All good things, and then gain functionality. We'll have local options for using this without as much issues outside of our device. So lots of good things. Now, if we've got the good things, the problem with that is they have to be paired with the possibility for bad things.
I thought you were going to say the possibilities. I was like, I'm not sure.
The possibility for possibilities. Those tasks with tasks, man.
The tasks. Take the task to task for the possibility is possible.
My brain has been rough for like 3 days.
You're writing like 2023 AI. That's what you're doing right now.
What a shame.
Anyway, but yeah, so go check it out. Check out Linus Tech's video. We'll put it up on the website page so you can look at it. And I'm excited. We'll keep you all updated as we find out more about this. Definitely encourage you, if you get access to agentic tools on your computer, check it out. Start playing with it. I can tell you once you get an agent who can access a lot more things, you really start to understand what it can really do for you. And I think that's just really cool. I think there's a lot of options out there for people, and I think this would be another way to get that out there.
So when Nvidia wants to sponsor us and send us one of the first ones out, we can like do that box opening.
Yeah, Nvidia. Totally if you'd like to sponsor us and send Will and I 2 5090s, we'd be all about that. You just drop that.
Yeah, real easy. I can give you an address. Like,
I'm AMD right now, but I'd switch out my card. You just gotta
easy peasy. All right, folks. This has been another episode of the HiTech Podcast. As always, we do all the socials and stuff at the front end, but please do go follow, like, subscribe, share with folks. Every single one of our episodes has an episode page at hitechpod.us, and those are the easiest ways to share them with friends and colleagues. Until next week, that's a wrap on this week of the HiTech Podcast. We will continue empowering minds,
embracing tech.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Buckle up, let's ride the wave. Future's calling.